Thank you all for your time and attention today. For those who don't know, I'm Dr. Trusty, Assistant Headmaster here at Kinkaid, and welcome to the 2016-17 school year. It's wonderful that we get to start the school year like this as an entire community, and I'm so grateful for all that you've done and for all that we will do to make this such a wonderful and fantastic experience. I'm also hopeful that everyone had a great summer, a summer that was filled with some travel and adventure. And for all the students in the room, if you want to hear about my summer ziplining story, ask any of your teachers. It's quite hilarious to them, but maybe wasn't for me. So the purpose of this event today is, some of you may recall that last year, for those of you who were here last year, we had a beginning of the year kickoff convocation. And let me pause for a second, and I'm going to ask if all of the new members of the Kinkaid community would stand, students and adults. All the new members of the Kinkaid community, please stand. Let's give them a round of applause. Welcome, friends. You may be seated. Thank you. You may be seated. Last year, we began this new tradition of kicking off the school year together as one community, one division, one team, one family, everyone, and one Kinkaid. And as I mentioned, this is an all-school convocation. So for those of you who aren't familiar with that term, that's a fancy term for an assembly, but convocations normally have a more serious tone and more formal tone. And the tone that we're setting this year will focus on our core value of responsibility. And during this morning, you'll hear from some students and adults as they reflect on the theme and our core value of responsibility. At this time, what I'm going to ask is I'm going to ask two of our lower school students, Matthew Gonzalez and Ava Johnson, to come to the stage. Come on up, friends.
Please stand while we're saying the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please remain standing for the Kinkaid song.
For those new students I have not yet met, my name is Dr. Headmaster. It's a pleasure to speak to you this morning for just a few minutes. First, please join me in thanking our pledge leaders and our lead singers. Let's also give Dr. Trusty a big round of applause to thank him for all his work. Trustee has done a lot of hard work in preparing this special convocation, and in my opinion, there is no better exemplar of our school's 4 core values than Dr. Trustee. Thank you. So good morning. It is great to see everyone together in one place in the opening week of school. I have seen all of you earlier this week, but in separate locations. And here we have all gathered together in one place at one time. This is the second year of a new school tradition, an all-school convocation to begin the school year. And we are off to a terrific start. From pre-K through 12th grade, we've had an excellent first week of school, and for that I want to thank all of our students. We started school with 1,431 students, and all faculty and staff members. Thank you for your teamwork and your good spirit. We are truly one Kinkaid. The theme of this special assembly or convocation is responsibility, which is one of our 4 core values, along with respect, kindness, and honesty. Respect, kindness, and honesty are still very important this year and every year. But we have chosen, as Dr. Trustee said, to focus on the core value of responsibility this year. What does responsibility mean? Kinkaid defines responsibility as the following. Members of the Kinkaid community are reliable and hold themselves and others accountable for their actions. We do not make excuses, blame others, or take unwarranted credit. If you'd like to see that again, we have all the definitions for all 4 of the core values posted in every classroom in the school. We are honored this morning to have 4 members of our community speak in further detail about what responsibility means to them. We appreciate their time and their efforts in preparing to speak to us this morning amidst the busy opening week of school. I will introduce all 4 now, and then they will come up one at a time. First, 4th grader Daphne Murray will speak on responsibility for classmates and to teachers. 8th grader Michelle Sili, our middle school student council president, will talk about responsibility for oneself and one's actions. 12th grader Austin Kowski, a peer mentor leader, will discuss responsibility for the school environment. Last but definitely not least, Mr. Byron Williams, middle school history teacher and last year's recipient of the Columbiana Award for Teaching Excellence, will address responsibility for the community beyond the walls of Kinkaid. When Mr. Williams has finished speaking, Dr. Trustee will come back to the podium. Thank you all for your attention. It is now my pleasure to introduce Daphne Murray.
Responsibility starts with you. Responsibility is my favorite 4 core value. I always wondered why people called responsibility, responsibility. I did a little research and found out it's a compound word. Responsibility. You have the ability to make the right response. Being responsible around your classmates, coaches, and teachers is very important. People always think of responsibility as just taking responsibility for your actions, but I think of it as doing the right thing. You are always responsible for how you act and what you say, no matter how you feel. Being a leader is very important. Leadership is about taking responsibility, not making bad excuses. Your life is your life. Take responsibility for it. You probably want someone to think about you. Wow, she is very responsible. The only way others will think that is if you act responsible. People always say, be yourself, but if that self is not responsible, work for it. Your teachers, coaches, and friends all deserve for you to be responsible. Your teachers ask you to get the paper out, you don't. Your coach asks you to put the balls back, you don't. Your friend asks you to help them with math, you don't. That's not being responsible. How can you change it? You can change it by trying to be a better person. You are never going to be perfect, but you can always get better. Your teachers, coaches, and friends need you to be responsible. Wake up every morning and think about being responsible. Think about school and say, I'm going to be more responsible. That will help make you a better person. Responsibility relates to all our 4 core values. You're being responsible and honest when you tell your mom you broke her favorite vase. You're being responsible and kind when your little sibling falls and you help put a Band-Aid on. You're being responsible and respectful when you speak in a quiet voice in the big room. Your teachers, coaches, and friends want to have a responsible student or friend. The main idea is be responsible to your teachers, coaches, friends, and family. You can do it. Be the 4 core values. Responsibility starts with you.
Hello, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Michelle Sakili. I've been here at Kinkaid ever since 3rd grade in the lower school, and I'm on my last year of middle school and looking forward to joining my older sister in the upper school. Throughout my life, I've been interested in many different things all across the board, and it often pulls me in opposite directions. Sometimes, it's so hard to choose between the things I love that I don't choose. I do everything. Even though it's harder to manage, that's a choice I make and a commitment I follow through with. And the only reason I'm capable of doing everything I love is because of this little quality we all have called responsibility. As you know, that's this year's highlighted core value of Kinkaid. To start off simply, I want you all to think about what responsibility means. It can illustrate many different things: having authority over someone, taking care of your own business, and even behaving maturely. Since we're all growing up, we have more duties that we are expected to complete, whether it's at home or here at school. That means we have to be wiser and more aware of what's going on around us to make sure we meet all our commitments. For example, if a teacher gives you an assignment, no matter how much you try and procrastinate, it's your obligation to get it done. The same goes for the chores at home and remembering to bring all your supplies to class. I know it's a lot to keep track of at once, but if you manage the skill now, everything will get easier as you grow up. But all these ideas of responsibility revolve around one main quality: the responsibility of oneself and one's actions. It involves mainly acting independently and making decisions without consent, and also being able to own up to your own actions and choices. In this day and age, taking responsibility for your actions can be difficult. If you say or do something wrong or hurtful, you must be prepared for the consequences that come with it. Before you do something impulsive, like blurt out your best friend's secret, think to yourself, how will this affect me? And how will it affect others? Being able to decide if doing something is respectful or not, and then acting appropriately, means you are responsible. And if you are responsible, more people trust you as a friend and rely on you as a leader, and you have more privileges and opportunities for being more mature. I was inspired by a quote from a famous First Lady. Eleanor Roosevelt once said, one's philosophy is not best expressed in words. It is expressed in the choices one makes, and the choices we make are ultimately our responsibility. This quote describes that our actions speak louder than our words, and the decisions we make in our lifetime define who we are. As long as we all think before we act and try our best to get done what's asked of us, we'll cruise through school and life along with it. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome. My name is Austin Kowski, and I'm now a senior here at Kinkaid. It is truly an honor to have the opportunity to address everybody this morning, and when Dr. Trustee asked if I would speak about this year's theme, responsibility, I graciously agreed. Responsibility to me means many different things. A person can be responsible as a student, a teacher, an administrator, an athlete, a coach, an artist, a director, a mentor, and many more. Here at Kinkaid, we see responsibility rock out all the time. Each of us is responsible for something, whether it be cleaning your room, taking out the trash, doing the dishes, or in my case, driving your siblings to school. We all do our part to be responsible. Here at Kinkaid, we all hold a different set of responsibilities. As a student, Each of us is held accountable for staying on top of all of our work. We are tasked with being a responsible student, being respectful, attentive, curious, and excited about learning. But what does being a responsible student mean? It means writing down your homework and turning it in on time. It means preparing for a test, quiz, paper, or project. It means remembering to turn in your library books on time. It means not having to ask for a purple slip in the cafeteria for Mr. Kastner. It means going off campus for lunch and being on time for your next class. As athletes, we practice to get better. We get better to win. Being a responsible athlete means cleaning up your equipment at the end of PE. It means bringing back your clothes for gym on Monday. It means working out during the off-season. As artists, we are responsible for reflecting on the events of the world. We are responsible for sharing our thoughts with others. Being a responsible artist means bringing back your script for KLS. It means completing your spreads for yearbook. It means helping other people in Photoshop as they need it. As a teacher, you are given the responsibility to educate, to create, to enlighten, to excite, to question. You are responsible for preparing an alternate lesson plan in case things don't go as planned. You are responsible for coming up with different plays so we can beat St. John's again. You are responsible for choreographing a variety of dances to keep students and audiences interested in performances. As administrators, you are responsible for being in charge. You are responsible for making sure we have a safe place to work. You are responsible for making sure everything runs smoothly and for making final decisions. You are responsible for just about everything. As people, we tend to look up to people who are older than us. I remember coming into Kinkaid as a 6th grader, constantly looking up to the 7th and 8th graders, trying to set a good example for the lower schoolers, yet not being able to comprehend what the lives of an upper schooler was like. Not being able to comprehend their set of responsibilities, like driving a car, playing varsity football, and performing in the spring musical. I remember looking down at the lower schoolers thinking they had it easy, being responsible for things like getting a field trip permission slip signed, or making sure to go to the big room after school. And I remember being in the middle, being in middle school, being responsible for organizing the 7th grade Culture Fest booth, being responsible for practicing the clarinet outside of class, being responsible for hitting in the cages as much as I could to make sure I became a better hitter. Our responsibilities as people include being a good brother or sister, being a good mother or father, or grandmother or grandfather. We are responsible for being a good friend, and most importantly, being a good person. We are all here for a reason. We are all responsible for continuing to be who we are: a student, a teacher, an administrator, an athlete, a coach, an artist, a director, a mentor, and many more. All of us are responsible for making our school's environment safe, happy, and a place to grow. We are all responsible for making Kinkaid, Kinkaid. Thank you.
Hamiltonian etiquette prohibits any person from interrupting someone who is in the middle of singing. I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my daughter, however, was not aware of this rule. So she interrupted me last year on our commute from Katy to ask, Daddy, do people really do that? As much as I wanted to continue driving and singing with the volume turned to an obscene level, I decided to do the responsible thing and turn the music down to ask, do people do what, honey? Do people really throw away their shot? A little shocked by the question, I wanted to turn around and make sure that I was still talking to that little 4-year-old who was in the green door strapped in a car seat, and make sure that she hadn't been replaced with some metaphysical philosopher testing my knowledge of ethics. But again, I did the responsible thing and said, yes, baby girl, some people do throw away their shot. But do you even know what that... There you go. But do you even know what that means? Do you know what it means to throw away your shot? No, she answered. So in my attempt to explain to her what it means to throw away your shot, I feel like I missed an opportunity. Because in that moment, I told her something that focused on individual accomplishments and achievements. I explained throwing away your shot is giving up a chance to be really good at something because you didn't work hard enough to improve. You could have been a great concert violinist, but you didn't practice. You could have been the valedictorian, but you didn't study. I tried to communicate to her in that moment that you owe it to yourself, to your family, to your community, to achieve at the highest levels. Now, I still believe that. But now that I've had more time to think about that question and to reflect on our most important responsibilities and opportunities as human beings, I start to think that maybe we also have a responsibility to leave our community and our country better off than we found it. Hamilton inspires me, not just because he was the $10 founding father without a father who went a lot farther by working a lot harder, by being a lot smarter, by being a self-starter. He inspires me because he took the responsibility of helping to lay the foundation for our government, to make a more perfect union. Harriet Tubman inspires me not only because she stole her body away from her slave owners and escaped to freedom, but she inspires me because she also returned to the slaveholding South 19 times to help liberate 300 other Americans. Kinkaid students, you inspire me. Not only because you attend the most elite universities, not only because you win the most prestigious awards, you inspire me because you believe that it's your responsibility to build homes through Habitat for Humanity. You inspire me because you took it upon yourself to give Halloween treats through Hero Box to the soldiers who are responsible for keeping us safe. You took it as your responsibility to provide school supplies to charter schools and public schools around the city. Some of you in this room have decided that it's your responsibility to not accept birthday gifts because you wanted to raise money to help fund cancer research. You inspire me. Some of you may be sitting thinking, you know what? I'm gonna just focus on myself right now. This is my time, Mr. Williams. I'm gonna focus on my own responsibilities and my own individual achievements. Well, you could wait. In fact, you can afford to wait. But hatred and homelessness, they don't wait. Cancer, terror, violence, they don't wait. The people who are depending on you, your responsibility, your creativity, your leadership, those people, they can't afford to wait. So if you're ever confronted with that question, do people really do that? Do people really throw away their shot? You can tell them, you know what? Some people do. But me, I am not throwing away my shot.
I'll thank our speakers again at the very end, but they were phenomenal. And as you all know, Mr. Williams has flow. I'm not going to attempt to follow that. I'm just going to read my notes. So, how many of you recall at the assembly, the convocation last year, you all received something at some point afterwards? Raise your hand if you remember what that was. Okay, the lower school teacher in me says, whisper that answer to the person beside you. Okay, so if that person said eagle's feather, that's correct. So last year, at the end of the convocation, you all received eagle's feather. Some of you still have those. I still have mine hanging in my office. And last year, we're focused on the core value of respect. This year, we're focusing on responsibility, as you heard. Do you all know what a bystander is? Think about it. So for my upper school friends, I shared some of this reflection last year, but I thought this was a fitting occasion to share it again. Psychologists, sociologists, and anthropologists have done research about bystanders, coining the term bystander effect or bystander apathy. And this is what they found. They found that the more people who see something or someone in need, the less likely it is for those people to take action and help. Isn't that odd? Imagine if we were to leave this assembly right now, what the researchers have found is that there's someone in the hallway who needs help. Because it's such a large crowd like this, we're less likely to take action. We're less likely to get involved. Many of you have seen this replicated on dozens of television specials where some ill person is lying on the sidewalk, well-dressed, moaning, and is asking for help. And in many cases, there are 20 minutes pass, or 30 minutes pass, or an hour passes before someone takes action, before someone sees it as their responsibility to help. And in situations like that, people often assume, well, someone else will do it. Someone else will get involved. Someone else will take action. I'm asking you all today to join me, this is adults and students in the room, to join me in something I've dubbed the I Will campaign. I Will campaign. Which means I will take responsibility for myself, I will take responsibility for my peers, the school, and the community. I'm asking you to join me in the I Will campaign, and I will not assume that someone else will do it. Will you join me? Yes. Thank you, my lower school friends. Middle school friends, will you join me? Yes. Upper school friends, will you join me? Yes. Are the adults in the room, will you join me? Yes. So who will assist the classmate or friend who's in need? I will. Who will greet the visitor to our campus? Who will pick up the fallen opponent in an athletic competition and mean it? My challenge to you all is that we will not succumb to apathy, but we will respond with action and take the responsibility to do some of the following examples. Clean up the spill that you didn't make, or volunteer for service hours even though you've met your service requirement, or tell a friend they're making a bad decision, or congratulate a classmate for an accomplishment that not takes their success personally. This is the I Will campaign. Each of you, over the course of the next few days or so, will receive two things. You'll receive a bracelet, either a gold one that says I Will, responsibilities written in I Will, or a purple one that says responsibility I Will. You'll receive one of these bracelets, and you'll also receive a button. The button says I Will. Your buttons are not this big, by the way. But you all will receive a button that says I Will, and my challenge to you all is to embrace that. So our lower school friends, your teachers have received these in your classrooms, and middle school and upper school, you all, your advisors, will have these all for you at some point soon. For the faculty who's represented here, the buttons and the bracelets are in the divisional offices. And for all the staff members who are also here, you can check with your department offices to receive those. And anyone who needs one after some point next week, you can check with Ms. Robinson. She will have these for you. And I'll close on this. Here's the challenge for you all and all of us to exemplify Kinkaid's 4 core values, focusing on responsibility this year. We are not expecting anyone to perform superhuman feats, even though acts of kindness often feel that way to the recipient. We are inviting every member of the Kinkaid community to take on the responsibility and be accountable to and for others. No excuses, and don't conclude that someone else will do it. So I have a few thank yous that I want to make before I dismiss you by group. Ms. Robinson, thank you for all of your help getting all of these buttons and things. Let's give Ms. Robinson a round of applause. And I want to thank this other group together, so we'll save our applause until the last group is mentioned. All of our student and adult participants, to the staff who've done a fantastic job setting up, and before you blink your eye, this will go back to normal. And I want to thank you all for being a wonderful and respectful and responsible audience. Thank you all. Give yourselves a round of applause.